Okay. Let me let people know that we are live. So here we go.
I didn't see it.
No? For real? Am I not on? Oh, Lord. According to this, it's live, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it on? Ah, brilliant. Now, why can't I find myself?
You have to go to your channel to find it because that's what I had to do.
Oh. Silent. How do I share? My assistant over here is helping me. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us on our live session of Let's Talk Parenting. I'll just wait a couple more minutes to let more people join us, and then we will make a start. Do let me know in the comment section who you are, where you are. Yes, let's get the conversation going. I'm ready to go, but I just want to give a bit more time to more people to join us so that nobody misses any section. How's your day been? Let me know in the comment section. How's your day been? Let's see. Hello, my darling Afi. God bless you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna please share the link so we can get more parents to join us. I'm gonna do the same as well right now. Go there. Okay, I've shared. So my guest is ready. We're both ready. We're just going to give a bit more time, more people to join. But very quickly, if you haven't already got a copy of the book, so this is the book we're going to be talking about today, called Disciplining with Love. Awesome book, absolutely wonderful. I've read it a couple of times, and it's just wonderful. So that's why we are going to talk about it. Discipline is quite an important area when it comes to parenting. So I thought it would be great to do a live session and talk to a professional who works with parents and works with, children, and, get their perspective on, discipline. So let me know who you are and where you're logging in from. Hello, Angela. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. God bless you. Okay, I've shared the link. I'm gonna come off just so that I'm not distracted. Okay. You can get the book. It's not too late, actually, because you can get an e-book of this. So you can actually, even right now as you're waiting, just go to floatingcounselling.co.uk/book, and you can get an e-copy of the book. So let me actually show those of you that have joined us the prize that will be won today. Right, I have to lift up my laptop. Okay, so There you go. So there's the awesome prize that's going to be won today. Oh, I want to drop it. Okay. So that's the awesome prize that's going to be won today. I'm going to ask a question which will come from the book. Well, the answer is in the book. So I want to make it nice and easy for everyone. So I'm going to ask a question. I'll tell you even what page to look at so you can get, the answer. And then all you have to do is go on your Instagram account and then find Fruitful Coaching. Here I am. Let me just bring it up. So find Fruitful Coaching. Hopefully you can see that, Fruitful Coaching, and send me your answer. Text me your answer, basically. If you go to, gosh, do I remember how to use? Oh, yes, there's like an arrow at the top where you can go and then you can send a message. So text me your answer to the question that I'm going to ask. And the very first person who gets the answer to me, basically, that's the person that's going to win this beautiful hamper. Because I'm giving you the answer, basically. It's very hard to kind of decide who should win it. So I thought the best way to do it is basically to just get the first person who sends the answer in. So be very, very quick. As I give the question, I will give a bit of time for you to actually go and look for it in the pages. And then the very first person who's going to send me the answer, that's the person that is going to win this hamper. Mother's Day is about 15 days away. So we thought, why not treat you? Because we are all special mums. We are mums and dads, actually. It's unisex. The gifts in there, men can also use them. They can. There's various things in there. And also you get a signed copy of the book. So what you can do is if you can take your copy of the book and you can give it to a friend, bless a friend with your copy, and then you keep the signed copy that's in there. How awesome is that? So that's the book. Okay, so I'm going to make a start because I really don't want to be on any longer. I know we've got children that are probably hanging around waiting for you to put them in bed. So I'm going to make a start. So welcome to a live session of Let's Talk Parenting. Today is a very special day. We are celebrating the launch of this very awesome book, which is called The Art of Disciplining with Love. It's written by Celestina Oniye-Thomas. When she comes on, she'll tell us a little bit about herself. So I'm not going to give too much information right now. Very quickly, I'm Veronica Kasongo Fruitful, and I'll be hosting the launch party. And I want to ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. And also share this link so other people can join us even later on. It doesn't matter. The reason we ask you to subscribe to the channel is because the work that I'm doing, doing little videos of parenting, just talking about parenting, sharing information that really can help us. It's going to be very helpful if you share them so that other parents can get the information. When it comes to parenting, it's not just about you and it's not just about me, because the way we parent our children also impacts our community. An example can be, if you think about, let's say if I don't parent my children right, I've got a son and I've got a daughter. If I don't parent them right, let's say my child grows up and he gets into drugs, right? Well, he's not going to keep all that to himself. He's going to probably he's going to get your child to join into the group and become also either a gang member or a drug addict as well. Or let's say he gets into trouble with the law and he ends up in prison. Well, the prison system isn't run by itself. It's actually funded by your tax money. So when you think about parenting, it isn't just about you and me and how you are raising your children within your home, but it's also about the community as a whole. And we are called to be responsible for one another. We're called to look after each other. That's how we can make sure that we are growing up in a healthy society, is if we do our part with our children, so then they can grow up and they can have healthy lives and also contribute back to society. They get good jobs, do well in life, and have children and do well by their children as well. So that's why it's important for you to share this link and also to subscribe to the channel. It helps YouTube be able to basically broadcast the message even further to other people by you subscribing and sharing the video. So I appreciate those of you that have already subscribed. And if you haven't already, then please do so. I don't want to go on too long. I want to bring my guest because she is waiting. Let me just check if all is good for her to join. As I said, we're here to celebrate the launch of this awesome book. And we're going to talk to the author and just have a conversation about discipline and the importance of discipline and the impact, good, bad, you name it. We're just going to have a conversation about that. Let me just check if she's... Okay, she's there, but she's having internet connection trouble. So give me a second. I'm going to try and see if I can help her. Oh, she is there. Okay, right, fantastic. Fabulous. Okay, so as I said, can you please give me some, what do you call it, emoji hand claps as I welcome my guest for today, Miss Lovely Celestina Oniye-Thomas. Please reveal yourself. I'm going to get you to join. Yay! Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited about today.
It's okay. It's okay. It's been, I don't know how to describe today, but you know, we are very, very grateful to have you join us on the broadcast. By the way, guys, I do apologize that I'm literally at the corner, is because the position I'm sitting in, literally just, yeah, I can't move the computer any further. So
did I move to this side or this side?
I can't. The table is on that side. The only side I can move is this way.
So I can move slightly on this side, and then that way. Does that make any difference?
No, yeah, literally the table is like blocking. Never mind. Okay, so welcome to the live session of Let's Talk Parenting. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. I am good.
Fantastic. Excited. What's the one thing you're grateful for today?
Grateful for being alive. I am grateful for being alive, being healthy. Well, I know you said one thing, but I can go on. Being alive, family, loved one, water, food, shelter,
exactly.
life. And this goes on.
Exactly. I'm grateful to be alive as well. So today we are celebrating the launch of this amazing book, which is already out and is available. And as I've said, you can get a copy. You can get an e-copy right now by going to Floating Counselling, floatingcounselling.co.uk/book. And you can get an e-copy, or if you want, you can get one sent to you. It's your choice. So this is what we're celebrating today. So my lovely sister, let me just start with just asking, who is Celestina, and why therapy? Why that field, that particular field?
I think I kind of got into the psychotherapy field by an accident, to be honest with you. That's not what I wanted to do when I was younger. That's not what I thought I wanted to do when I was younger. When I was younger, I was always vibrant, which I still am, to be honest with you. Really argumentative, fierce, bold. And one of the things that I definitely always used to do was like argue, and especially standing up for other people. And, I used to get in trouble all the time in secondary school because I was sticking up for other people. Like, people knew, don't mess with Celeste, don't just leave me in my life. Don't disturb me. But if I saw them disturbing somebody else, then I used to make that my business. Like, it's like, you're not bullying me. You're not pushing me around, but I can see you doing it to someone else. So we have a problem now. Now I'm going to get involved, and you need to stop that behavior. So I always used to fight people's battles. And then I'll get in trouble because it's like, well, why didn't you tell the teacher? Why did you get involved? And it's like, well, what am I going to tell the teacher for? I can take it, but I can take care of it myself. So I used to get in trouble, used to get excluded and all those stuff. And it was never because people were bothering me. It was always because they were bothering somebody else, and I happened to walk past or I saw it, and I just made myself get involved in it. And my dad always just thought, oh, you'll be a lawyer. You know, you're really into justice, into fairness. You know, it bothered you like it was happening to you. You didn't care about getting excluded or whatever because, you know, you just felt like you needed to, you know, step in and make justice happen, and used to take it in your hands. So either you're going to be a police officer or you were going to be, you know, a lawyer or a judge or something. So he always thought that's what I wanted or I should have been. And then he got me a law book. I think I was 9 years old or 10 years old. They got me like a really thick law book with all the UK's legislations inside it. And, you know, can you imagine like a 10-year-old carrying this book? Like, I carried that book everywhere with me. I carried it to church and everything. But when I then did grow up and I did start to do law, I did law for 2 years. And it just wasn't for me. And then the worst part, the icing on the cake of me getting out of law, was a film that came out around the same time. I can't remember what. I think it's called Devil's Advocate or something like that. I can't remember what it's called.
Well, I know there was Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, and I think what then happened in the film was the devil was using the lawyers to let the criminals get off. And I was like, what? And what then turns out was the fact that I was like, yeah, no, law's not for me, because then I have to defend people I don't believe in. I have to, you know, argue on their behalf to get away with things I don't agree with. I was like, nope. So that was it for me. And then my sister was just like, well, you can't sit home and do nothing. And the only course that was left in college, because then I went back to college, was counseling skills. And I was just like, yeah, whatever, it can't be that hard. And that was it. I never left. I never went back. I just kept studying to like fully qualified to be a psychotherapist. And now I've got my own private practice. So that was a long story of that wasn't what I wanted to be. But you know what, looking back now, it does actually make sense, because I feel like I am still helping people. Only now I'm not defending them. I'm giving them the strength to be able to do it themselves, to be able to equip themselves to do it, instead of me, you know, arguing and fighting their own battles for them.
Exactly. And it's funny, life is like that. I find that in my own journey, that similar thing. I did business. I wanted to go into business, which I am actually now, yes. But I did it back then. No idea that I was going to become a parent coach or anything, even to work with kids. But when I was a kid, I always protected kids. I always like looked after them, and I had that, but I never thought I would work with them. And then you know, life happens, and I didn't end up pursuing, you know, career in business. I ended up starting working with children, and I liked it, and just worked my way up. And here I am 11 years later. So I hear what you're saying. Sometimes like these things happen, and but they're connected to some degree, aren't they? Because you are still helping people, but just not in the way that you thought you were going to do it. So the book is awesome. I've already told you that like 1,000 times. The book is awesome, but what was the inspiration behind it? Because like you deliver sessions with parents, and you've been doing that for how many years now?
About 15 years now.
About 15 years. Okay. So 15 years you've been working with parents. You didn't think about writing a book 5 years ago. Maybe you did. I don't know. So what was the inspiration behind it, and why discipline in particular and not just parenting, maybe in a different field?
There's a saying, and I actually heard this saying probably a couple of weeks ago, that if something annoys you enough, then that means you need to do something about it.
Right.
And for me, that's what it was. Having heard things like, oh, spanking is what we do. That's our culture in Africa. If you don't spank children, they turn out like white people, and white people, you know, they don't discipline their children properly. And, you know, they get into drugs if you don't discipline them. And if you don't beat them, and it's like, no, no. And that
Not
argument
true.
and that debate was just happening constantly. It seemed like every time I came on Facebook, or I was having a conversation at church, or I was having a conversation with a friend, it just seemed like everywhere I turned, I was having the same conversation time and time again, telling the same thing, but to different people. Literally, it felt like every day. And I'm just like, I'm just going to write in a book because I've actually had enough of actually having the same debate, the same
Right.
disagreement, the same argument, the same trying to logically say that. How does that make sense to you? How did you feel when you were younger? Did you like it when your parents hit you? Okay, but
Yeah.
what do you now think is the right thing to do? You're just having that same thing. So I wrote a book about it.
Ah, excellent. I have to say that is when I've delivered workshops, yeah, that is usually the mentality that a lot of, and it's not just blacks, even some whites have that mentality as well.
Asians
that,
as well.
I should be disciplining my child how I want, the way that I want. It didn't do me any harm, etc. So that is usually the mentality that a lot of people have. What I like about the book, and parents, if you haven't got a copy of the book, you need to get a copy because you'll understand what I'm talking about. What I like about the book is that I like the way you've written the book, and I like that you've used different proverbs from different African countries, which I haven't seen I haven't seen that in any other book that I've read. So what inspired you to do that particular thing, like just using different quotes from different countries in Africa?
I mean, anyone that knows me, they will know that I use proverbs all the time. Like I start with an analogy or like a story behind something, or even just now when you were asking me, why did I write the book? You know, I told you how this one of the saying that I've heard, that the fact that if something annoys you enough, you need to do something.
Right.
So that's how I really talk.
That's your style.
Just how I talk.
Right.
And the African part was just because I just really was passionate about really impacting African parents.
Right.
It's something, you know, the way spanking and the way discipline or our reaction and our traumas, how we affect humans, affect every human, regardless of your ethnicity. But for me, I'm just in a place right now where I'm just so passionate about my African Black community. Even the work that I do in floating counseling now, it's so niched down to where I'm supporting the Black African community, because I just feel so drawn to, we can do so much better. And I feel like I can help in one way or the other, like a little drop of water.
Oh, lost connection there. Give us a second. So parents, as you can see in the comment section, there is a question there which is asking you, what is your definition of discipline? I want you to interact with us. Tell us your opinion. What do you think? What does the word discipline mean to you? And also, can you share with us maybe one way that you were disciplined as a child? So share with us one way that you were disciplined as a child. I'm interested to know your thoughts. Once my sister can log back in, we can continue. Internet. I wonder if she can still hear me. I'm gonna just double check. This is technology for you. Oh, she's back. Thank you, Lord. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Fantastic. Okay, welcome back. So yes, you saying?
Yeah, like a little drop of water. That's another saying that my dad used to say, like, you know, be one of the pure drops of the water. Even if the ocean is dirty, the fact that the more the drops of clean water that goes in eventually will make an impact. So that's just one of the things that I'm just passionate about, to help parents, because, like, you know, one of the things you said when we started, we impact each other. So, you know, your child's going to impact mine. My child's going to impact yours. It's not just about me saying, no, I'm raising my children well. No, I'm living in a nice neighborhood. No, with them, sending them to the great school. It has nothing to do with that. The fact is, if other parents are not raising their children well, And if society that other children are living in is not good enough, it's going to impact mine, because they can drive to my neighborhood. They can drive to my children's school.
Yeah,
they can be in the shop down the road, and impact each other. So everything is impacted. Everything is connected.
There's so much I want to say about the book, but I want to ask you. So with the proverbs, do you know like the meaning of all of them? Because there's one in particular I want to ask you, because I've heard it, but not like this. The Nigeria one, where it says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside cannot get in. I've heard it said differently by Les Brown, and he says, when there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do no harm. That's the version I've heard. So what's the meaning behind this particular Yoruba proverb?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm Yoruba, so we say this a lot of the time, and a lot of the time is the fact that enemies outside, there will be enemies outside, like Les Brown said, the people are going to hate you for whatever, but they will not make an impact. It always makes an impact when it's inside, when they get in one way or the other. It's like you're living inside a house. Someone outside makes no impact to you. It's when they come in. And how do they get in? Somebody has to open the door. Somebody has to open the window. It's always the people inside that lets it in one way or the other. So in regards to parenting, it's like, we're so concerned about society. Society is doing this, society is doing that. No, you are the parents. No one can impact your child unless you give them permission to. You have to be the one to allow it. And the parenting is so important, because we are the first gods of our children. We are the ones they're looking up to. We are the ones that, they see as their superhero when they're younger. So if we raise them properly, if we mold them into, strong enough, resilient enough, then when they do get outside there, because eventually they will get outside there, they have to go to school, they have to go to work, whatever it may be. But you've built them so well where they are so resilient that when life does happen, and life will happen, they are strong enough. So that's why I kind of linked the two together in regards to parents. But yeah, Yorubas, we say that all the time. That's just one of the things we say. It's just the fact that we can never. What did you say there?
I was like, huh? What did you say there? What was that?
Yes, the proverb, the enemy that is outside, it makes nothing until they come in, and only the people in lets them in. It's always the people in one way or the other that lets them in, whether it's family, whether it's relationships. No one else can hurt your relationship unless you give them room to be able to come in to hurt your relationship. So that's the same with parenting.
Yeah, I hear you. So earlier on, I asked the audience, because I want you to give us the definition of discipline. The book is called The Art of Disciplining with Love. I want you to give us your definition of discipline. But I asked the audience, so I just want to check what responses they've given to us. I've got one here that I want to show, because it's based on what we're talking about. It says, I was raised in an African setting. My parents believed in whipping as the best form of discipline. How many of us can be like, yeah, that was me? Yeah. The worst kind that I got was, and it wasn't actually, it's funny because I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I think it is. My parents were not the ones that did the beating. It was actually the older siblings that did it. So yeah. And the worst one that I got.
So your older siblings or their siblings?
So the older sibling were the ones that did it. And the worst one that I ever got was being burnt with candle liquid on my fingers. Yes, I still feel the pain.
Yeah, the memory brings the pain.
I still feel the pain. So how would you define discipline briefly?
Well, I think I pretty much wrote like a whole chapter in the book about it.
Yes, you did. Get a copy, guys, so you can get a full definition. But so I started. How do you see discipline? Like, what is it for you? What does it mean? Like, what does it involve?
For me, discipline is a way to help regulate a behavior that is undesired into desired. So basically to teach someone a better way of doing something. So if a child is always spilling their food, if a child is wet in the bed, discipline for me in those regards would be, how can I help this child stop doing this undesired behavior? And how can I teach them to do what they need to do? Whether it's, okay, when you start to feel that tingle, even when you're sleeping, get up and go to the toilet, or go to the toilet before you go to sleep. So at least, your bladder's pretty much empty. So it's just teaching. To me, discipline is teaching. The African way of discipline is beating, or, causing pain, or causing a negative feeling. Whereas for me, discipline is not necessarily that. Discipline is, how can I teach you a better way
to do something?
Yeah.
I do agree with that definition. I mean, the simplest way you can explain it really is about teaching a child a way of doing something, and I always use Jesus as an example, because Jesus never beat any of his disciples. The whole time that, he started calling them one by one, he started showing them the way, and he used words, which you mentioned in your book about communication being the one way that we can really discipline children, is through communication. And that's exactly what Jesus did. He was talking to them, he forgave, and we know so many other things that he did, but he never actually beat any of them. Even the one who betrayed him, he never beat him. So yeah, I totally agree. I want to understand, so where does corporal punishment come from? Like, what's the root of it? How come that is the main form of discipline? I mean, I might be wrong, but I see as if in our community, that's like the quickest response. Like, that's the best way. Like, why? What's the root? Where does it come from?
Well, the root comes from slavery. It comes from when white people came and they took over, and they started teaching us to beat our children. They started teaching us to beat each other. They started teaching mother to beat her child. They started teaching husband to beat his wife, and wife to beat and her sister. And that became part of the culture. To beat became part of the culture. And then it became, this is what we do, because the last 20 generations have done that for the past 500 years. So now it's so embedded in their culture that they now think this is what we do, because they no longer remember what they used to do. They no longer remember other ways of talking to a child. And one of the other things that you probably...
Sorry to cut you. Is there evidence that that's how it was before, that they used to communicate, but then they started beating instead because that's what they had learned? Okay.
Yeah. So the evidence from what we can see will come from the Egyptian drawing, because the Egyptians, they used to draw things. They used to draw things on walls, and they used to write. So the Egyptians, Africans, I know people tend to forget that Egyptians are actually Africans.
Yeah, that's true.
And they used to respect children. The African culture that we now know, children are seen, they're not heard. That was not the Egyptian way of raising children. From the studies, from what we see, from the things that they've left behind, children were respected. Children were not just discarded. Children were not abused. Children were not hit. Children's opinion were important. And even in the African proverbs, you will be able to hear that a lot of the way they speak about children is with respect. It's not with disrespect. It's not with they not making sense, they silly, they this. Even the African proverb, the African Proverbs, it actually shows a lot of respect for children. And, the biblical proverbs also actually shows a lot of respect for children. Jesus telling us, be like children. Well, if we're meant to beat them, then why should we be like them? If we're meant to hurt them, why should we be like them? So clearly that is not the intention. So if we start to really look at it and really digest it and really, evidence that is in front of us, children were respected. Children were loved. Children were, I won't say the word worship, because, Egyptians, they used to worship everything and anything, to be honest with you. But pretty much children were absolutely up there. They were not beaten.
But you've heard people say that it never did me any harm. And I've had that discussion, quite in a lengthy way with somebody about trying to explain to them that just because you don't see it, it doesn't mean it didn't. Like, but how do you explain it to people? It might help me explain it better. Like, people say, well, it never did me any harm. I turned out all right. Like, how do you explain to people that they shouldn't be using corporal punishment because it's not helpful?
So in the book, I think there's probably about 3 chapters on that question, actually. And one of it is the fact that it's called second syndrome, which is, is a place in Germany. And what actually happened was the robbers, armed robbers, they took over the bank and they stayed there for days. When the police came and everyone left, the people that were hostage fell in love, but then they were in love. They were in love with the people who had them at gunpoint, who were abusing them throughout that time, and some of them even married them. So now in psychology, we now use that that town to explain this psychological thing that happens where the person that you depended on life on, your life depended on them, whether you were fed, whether you were able to go toilet, your essentials, your the hierarchy of Maslow depended on these people. You love them regardless what they did to you, because your life depended on them. So what then happens is, even though you know what they did was wrong, being here is wrong, no one will say it wasn't wrong, but it did them no harm, but they love their parents, but they love their sibling, but how can you love and hate in the same? So that is really confusing for the psychology of humans, which then comes down to, then I can do it. Because then what then starts to happen is those people who were abused, now in love with their abusers, they're now going to abuse other people. So even though they know what was done to them, they go on to do it. Because for some reason, because the mind can't quite hate and love, it's conflict. So if I love this person, then I can go on to do it to other people. So that's one of the explanation that I have in the book. The other explanation is the fact that, you can't quite remember, because again, the brain has blocked you remembering the pain. Because a lot of the time, most of them don't actually remember the pain. They know, but they don't remember the pain.
Yeah, I hear what you mean. Yeah.
So that comes into, you said you could still remember the pain in your hand.
I think I meant emotionally, I can still remember like what it felt like. But obviously, the pain's gone. Like, I don't feel the pain anymore at all. But
but a lot of the time, those parents don't actually emotionally remember the pain. So if they don't emotionally remember the pain, but they know that the pain was caused, but they don't emotionally actually remember the pain, and they still love their parent or the person that did it to them, then why would they not do it to their child? Because to them, it caused them no pain. They can't remember the pain. They know it was probably unpleasant at the time, but they can't actually remember the pain. So it can't be that bad.
Wow, that is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And I think, I remember when I worked for a borough, there's been cases where a young child would admit to something that happened, but then later on changes their mind. Is it the same thing, or do you think that there's another reason? Like, what you said about the syndrome, where it's that love, they don't remember the pain anymore. So that love is covering what happened. And so to them, maybe it didn't really happen, or is that something different?
I think it could be something different. I think it could be different. Without me actually knowing the specific person and the specific issues around it could be different, but it could also be the same thing. Whereas it can also be the fact that they didn't want to get the person in trouble because they still have that love for that person. So they know that now that they've spoken up, that person might get in trouble, and it's like, okay, well, I didn't really want them to get in trouble, but not because I love the person. So they withdraw their stories. So there could be plenty of reasons why, a child will say something and then they will withdraw the stories. It could be maybe they saw something on movie and then they kind of like, imagination, maybe it didn't happen. But again, maybe it did happen and they withdraw the stories because they love that person. So it's hard to say until you know the specific person, and I'm working with a specific person, and I go through their memory of did it happen, did it not happen kind of thing.
Parents, you've got to get a copy of the book, because I cannot cover every section of this book in today's conversation. There's things in there she's explaining that, like I said, I can't bring them all up in the session. So you need to get a copy of the book, read it, get a further understanding of what's inside the book. I truly believe it's going to help you. I don't know if anybody saw my last sort of post that I put up about people that have read the book. In fact, if you have read the book, can you just let me know in the comment section if you've read the book and let me know what you thought of the book. What's the one thing you took away from this book? Because it might encourage other people to get this book. I've read lots of different parenting books, but one reason why I wanted us to celebrate this book is because, you know, the books that I have read, they have not been written by one of us. And as much as we can try to deny it, us Black people, sometimes, you know, we are influenced by each other more than others. So I'm more likely to listen to something that another Black person tells me and shares the experience than I am to another person and not from another culture. So I was really happy to see, you know, one of my sisters write a book about discipline. And it's something that you can relate to because the language is very simple. It's not very challenging. Anybody can read this, no matter what language they speak. If you take your time, you'll understand what's in there. So if anyone has read this book, let me know in the comment section so I would see, and I'll put up the comments so that others can see how awesome this book is. So you got to get it. Now, I did say that I'm going to ask a question from the book, and whoever gives me the answer to this question very, very quickly, remember, it's all about answering the question quickly, because I know that a lot of you are going to get it right because I'm going to tell you where the answer is anyway. So since you're all going to get it right, the only thing I can do is just go with the person who gives me the answer first. So I want to ask Celestina to share with us.
The hamper, by the way, looks so good that I'm like,
oh, I'm
so tempted to take my phone and to like reply you.
I showed it to them earlier. I was like, I want to give you guys this. Mother's Day is coming up. So yes, if you haven't got a copy of the book, then oh my God, you are missing out. You're missing out. But those of you who have got a copy of the book or have read the book, I will tell you where to find the answer and you will be able to look it up. So the question I want to ask is, I want you to share with us just 2 reasons why corporal punishment is ineffective. It doesn't work. It's not good. So from your research, obviously the answers are in here. And just to help parents out, I want you all to go to page 42 to 45. And you've got plenty of time to read it so you can get the answer. Page 42 to 45. But I want my sister to just share 2 reasons why corporal punishment is ineffective. It's not a good idea for us to be using corporal punishment.
Page 42 to 45.
Well, it starts from, you talk about it from page 42 onwards to page 45. But for you, my sister, just go to last page. I'm sure you heard that.
I'm sure they all heard it.
But yeah, so the answer can be found in those pages. Go and read page 42, page 45. The answer's in there, but I want my sister to share 2 reasons. And those of you that are reading, if you do find the answers, you can send the answer to me on my Instagram page, which is Fruitful Coaching. You just go to Fruitful Coaching and text me the answer. The very first person who gets the answer to me will be the person that will basically win. So there's my Instagram account. Just go in there and send me the message. Send me the answer. Okay. So are you ready, my sister, to tell us 2 reasons why corporal punishment is not a good idea? In fact, I'm going to write what you say down so I don't forget.
So you don't forget. How many did you want me to tell you?
Just tell me 2, just to give them room to pick the others.
Okay. Are you ready, everybody?
Plenty of time to find the answer from the book.
Exactly. There's only like 3 pages, and there's like a whole bunch of like drawings. Like if you Google, it's like big. What's it called?
It's not that big, honestly. It's not that big. You can find the answer very quickly.
I think they definitely can find the answer very quickly. They should definitely find it very quickly.
It's like, you know, It's so obvious. Like, you haven't written a lot of pages. It's like 1, 2, 3 pages they've got to read.
Yeah, exactly. You've only given them 3 pages.
3 pages. Yeah. So share with us 2 of the reasons why corporal punishment is not a good idea.
One of it is the fact that it makes the child feel bad, and human studies have definitely shown the fact that when someone feels bad, they're more likely to do it again. So they're not more likely to not do it just because you made them feel bad. They're more likely, the brain remembers it more because the brain remembers negative things and draws on the negative things a lot more than the positive things. I mean, for example, when someone has had a bad day at work, they all of a sudden forgot the fact that they love this job. They applied for this job. They wanted this job. Now they're so drawn into, I hate this job. I'm feeling really bad. I've done this job. There's so much work to do today. But yesterday they were having fun at work because the brain really remembers the negativity and it draws on it a lot more. So when you're making your child feel bad, you're making them want to do that thing again. The brain is going to remember that negative act, and that's not going to change behavior. Behaviors of humans do not change from behaviors of mammals. Like, even though we're not dogs, but for example, you feed a dog. For example, when you're training a dog, you would like give them treats when they do something good because you want them to remember the fact that they've done something good. But if you're always pointing at the fact that they've done something wrong, spanking them when they do something wrong, giving them food when they've done something wrong, the brain is going to remember when I do something wrong, I get attention. When I do something wrong, I'm looked at. When I do something wrong, because a lot of the time you also have to remember the fact that children love our parents' attention. So if the time you're giving them attention, positive or negative, you're still giving them attention. That's how the brain records it. You're still giving attention. So one of it is the fact that it makes the child feel bad, even if you're in a relationship. Yeah, I know. I've given 2.
Given 2 in 1, like. Yeah, sorry, you can't tell me anymore. Sorry.
Okay.
So the child feels bad. That's one of them. The second one is that the brain remembers more of that negative action that you have taken. Okay, so avoid hitting children. That's basically the simplest way we can say it. I've written that down. So I'm going to wait for you to send me the answer. There's actually, how many things did you mention? Yeah, you've got 2 other options that you can share with me. So send me your answers on my Instagram account. Let me know what are the reasons why corporal punishment is not a good idea. It's ineffective. You're not going to get the result that you want. And last week, if anyone saw my video that I did, I talked about 5 reasons why sometimes our discipline methods doesn't work. And this is one of the things I mentioned. I talked about the fact that, if you're using punishment more than you are using like consequences, then, you're not going to really get the result that you want because punishment, we know, is ineffective. We need to be finding other ways that we can discipline our children. And we're going to share at least 1 or 2 today with you that you can discipline your children, which is more effective. So just send me your answer to my Instagram account, Fruitful Coaching. First person who gets it to me wins the prize for today. Woo, I can't wait.
Me too.
I cannot wait. Okay,
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck. Good luck at all. Okay, so I want to just touch on one more proverb, and you've got your book with you. So page 32, the DRC proverb. 32. You talk about the proverb for this, of course, I was going to mention that, right? This proverb says, the art of negotiation is acquired from childhood. Any idea what that means? So our parents can also understand what the meaning is behind that one.
What is interesting is the fact that my sister literally said to me, I think a few months ago, probably last month, she said to me, your son negotiates everything. How did you teach him that? And I'm like, yeah, I know. He will negotiate everything with you. Time to go to bed, what he wants to eat, what time he gets to watch TV. Everything is negotiation. And part of that is because that's what I've allowed them to do. I mean, children not naturally do that anyways. They naturally kind of want to, wiggle out of stuff or negotiate things or understand, but why? And there's actually a part of the brain that, from quite early that actually helps children do this. But parents can also, I guess, not, I won't say kill that part of the brain, but kind of not allow it to grow, because we do not allow, some parents do not allow children to voice their opinion, to negotiate. But deep down, children do want to negotiate, and we allow that from childhood. And what is really important about this proverb is because if a child is not allowed to negotiate, is not allowed to reason with you, is not allowed to reason with other people, then when they grow up, it's like what they're told is what they're told. They cannot think outside the box. They cannot, they cannot use their own initiative as they grow up. Because you will probably know some adults where they can't use their initiative. It's like you said to them, put that box over there. And even though there's dirt everywhere there, that's exactly where they put the box. And you're like, but that doesn't even make sense. Why didn't you think to not put it there? There's some adults like that.
I have to share a story when you said that. If my friend Nicole is on, right, please let me know. Because on Saturday, we were doing our work. She's my business partner. We were doing our work. And then we ran out of a fruit. And then I said to my son, please go to Co-op and buy me a fruit. And he went and came back and said they didn't have it. So I turned around and said to her, I said, you see what men are like? If it was you and me, we would think, okay, it was not in Co-op. Maybe I should try the cooler shop. But you didn't think that. You just came back and said it wasn't there.
Yeah, it wasn't in that shop. You sent me to that shop. That's the shop that I went, and they didn't have it.
Yeah, I just had to share that. That is so funny.
Yeah, the art of negotiating in their own personal mind.
So what I said to my friend was that it was more of a male thing than it was of a female, because we would think like that. But I noticed that boys are more like that, where they wouldn't think outside the box about, okay, what are my other options? They wouldn't. And I've actually read it in a book. I can't remember who the author is. It's about women are from Mars and men are from, or women can't read maps and men are from Mars. They say something like that about the brain, about how we see certain things or think a certain way. And it doesn't happen like that with boys. But what you're saying is, what I've heard you say is, it's something that
you can train any child to
help them to develop that skill and be able to negotiate. Right.
Absolutely. It can definitely be developed.
Is that the same thing with building like assertiveness or confidence? Would you say those characteristics as well? It's the same thing. We kind of have to help to build that within them.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone has it. Every human has it, like confidence. We all have it. But we have to build it. We have to, because, you're still children. They have that confidence. They fall down, they learn to walk, they fall down, but then they get back up. Like, the confidence is there. It's just up to the parent to help them build it, to not dim it down, to not push it down, to not remove that confidence, that resilience that's really there. Because children, human beings, were resilient. But were we supported when growing up to build it? That is what I love doing, helping parents know when to help the children build it and when to just look back and watch. And the fact that you're just watching is helping that child just build it themselves. I think sometimes some parents kind of run in to kind of do it, and like, you're not helping that child build resilience. You're actually removing their power and removing their ability to build resilience, because you're doing it for them. You think you're loving them, but actually what you're doing is not love. It's not a loving thing that you're doing it for them. There's times you just kind of have to sit back and just watch it happen. That's why I call it the art, because it's really an art. It's an art to learn to do it as a parent.
Question I was going to ask you was, so you named the book, the art of disciplining with love. So what are these art ways of disciplining with love?
Yeah, all of it is just, and one of the main ones that I'll definitely touch on today is, it's all about you, the parents, what you've been through and how you've healed from what you've been through. Because a lot of the time, even one of the things, like I just mentioned, jumping in to help, jumping in to rescue that child, that's from your own innate feeling. That's not because the child needed you to jump in to help. That's not because the child needed you to do anything, but because you felt uneasy watching that child struggle, or you felt like it would be quicker to jump in and do it for that child. It's your needs, and the art in it is just stopping, watching, and processing your own emotion, processing your own needs. And it sounds easy to in it, but it's really an art. Like it's really not that easy to sit back and watch your child take forever to eat their food, for example, or take forever to learn to do maths. You know, you just want to give them the answers sometimes because it's just easier. You're like, they figure it out. Let me just give them this one time, and this one time turns to every single day.
Yeah. Oh, someone said, what about people without Instagram? Oh, if you don't have an Instagram, well, let's see how it goes. I'll be checking who has responded. If people don't respond in Instagram, then I will give people the opportunity to just do it here, and we'll go with whoever the first person is. But yeah, that's the way we're going for now. But yeah, we'll do it another way later. Okay. So I wanted to do a little exercise because I'm a big fan of therapy. I'm a big fan of, counseling. So I wanted us to give our audience a bit of an experience, because one of the things you do in the book is that you give them, the opportunity. Don't know if they can see that, they get the opportunity to reflect on themselves as parents. And that's what's great about the book as well. You can reflect on the way that you parent. So if you've got your book with you, my sister, let's go to page 27, because that's, I want to talk about what the questions that you've got there. And if you can walk me through it, that would really help me to understand, because I want to know what is it that you want parents to get out of doing this. Okay. So after you read the top part, I'll just read the last paragraph. It says, when we hear our children without any explanation, the child is left confused, not knowing why what they did was wrong, why they should not do it again, and what was the right thing to do, what the right thing to do was. Many parents would say the child knows, but this is an assumption. I've been with my husband over 15 years, and we still have to talk about most things. He's not a mind reader. So why should a child be? Write your answer to the question below. How long was your longest relationship? So I want to know if I'm honest, I didn't quite understand what that question, what the connection is with what I just read and the question.
So the question was the fact that I mentioned the fact that I've been with my husband for 15 years. And the fact that I still have to ask him things, I still have to communicate with him because he's not a mind reader. So what I want parents to be able to do is think to themselves, when was my last relationship, or how long have I been in this relationship, or how long was I in a relationship? And did I have to communicate to the person like Celestina still has to do with a 15-year-old relationship with her husband? And the answer is probably going to be a yes. Even if you've been with someone for 30 years, or you've known your sister for 35 years, the fact is he or she would still not be able to read your mind. You still have to say certain things. You still have to communicate. But for some reason, parents just think, my child knows me. I know them. I know why they've done what they've done. They know that I don't like this. And it's like, there's just a lot of assumptions, but little communication. And what tends to happen is when we don't communicate is when we're disciplined with that communication, because the frontal lobe of our brain is actually where the memory is stored. And when we discipline children and we don't communicate, that means the long-term memory is not actually stored on why I shouldn't do what I've just done. So you've spanked them or you've disciplined them however you've done, but you haven't communicated with them. So they don't actually remember, because the brain the frontal lobe has not remembered why they shouldn't have done this. So communication is so important. So the whole point of that page and that bit was communication is so important. If I've been together with my husband for 15 years and I still have to communicate with him, then how long has your relationship been? And did you still have to communicate with them? And the chances will be yes. So you don't just wake up and be like, morning, and just assume that he knows that he needs to go get your breakfast and get you juice.
But that's not looking relationships, isn't it? I know, like, for example, with me, when I was married, I expected him to just know what I'm thinking, like why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I didn't do what I didn't do. How come you don't know? I did not communicate that. I just made the assumption that he should know. He should know I want him to cook tonight.
Yes. He should know that
never happened. He should know that he's supposed to take me out on a date. Why do I have to tell him?
Yeah.
That's why you're not getting what you want, sister. You need to communicate what you want so the person can understand. So this book ain't just going to help you in your parenting. It's going to help you in your relationship, because a lot of what I've come to learn in my journey of parenting is I kind of now understand what some of the things went wrong was through my parenting. Like, you're going to learn so much from this book. You've got to get yourself a copy. You're going to learn a lot about, your way of communicating and how you can do better for your family, because this is about your family as a unit. It's not just about you and your relationship with your child, but as a family as well. So please get yourself a copy if you haven't already bought this book, The Art of Disciplining with Love. Awesome. I absolutely love that. Now it makes sense, because the next question was, do you or did you still talk about some things? Exactly as you've explained. And then you say, write a list of things you still need to talk about with your current or last spouse partner that you thought they should know. So it perfectly makes sense. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Brilliant. Okay, so without further ado, I want to give other people the opportunity to share with us. Let me go into my Instagram just to see if we've had any response from. Okay, so we haven't had a response from Instagram. So perhaps people don't have access to Instagram. Okay, so I'm going to give the opportunity in the next 5 minutes for people to, because I'm about to wrap up. So for people to just write down one of the other ways that is mentioned in the book about disciplining our children. So why is it that it's corporal punishment is ineffective? It's mentioned in pages, gosh, what pages did I say this?
I think it was
page 40 something,
40 to 47.
Yeah,
or 42 to 45.
You just need to go from page, it's even from like page 42, 43, 44, 45, literally from 42 to 45. Just have a quick look and put your answer on screen, and everyone is even going to see who the first person.
Yeah, exactly.
So we won't even need to announce it. So while we're wrapping up, I'll give you like the next 3-4 minutes to give me that response. This book has been an awesome book to read. I've really enjoyed it. As I said, it's very easy to understand. The English is very basic, and it's also not that big. I read it in less than a week. I read the whole book and then went back and have read it in different way, different times. I've read different pages. I've gone back and reflected on it. So you can read this book in less than a week. Can see that it's not that big. So get yourself a copy. It's really going to be a blessing to you. I know that you are a psychotherapist and you work with people. One of the other benefits of buying the book is that I believe people will get 25 minutes free consultation. Is that right? Yes. Fantastic. Another reason to buy the book. You're going to get free consultation. Why would you say therapy or counseling is important?
It's really important because it helps you look at yourself and be aware of yourself. And I know people are like, but I know myself. But the fact is, we don't know ourselves as well as we think we do. It's one of those things where the Bible talks about how you can't see the speck in your own eyes. So you might be, even me, myself, I go therapy. I have my own therapist. I have my own therapeutic supervisor, and I have my own coach. And that is because I can't see, even though I'm qualified, I've been qualified for over 15 years working with clinical human beings. I can't see this own speck in my own eyes, and I can't always adapt what I know into my own life, which is why sometimes I say to people, sometimes I read my own book. Sometimes I watch my own trainings because I'm like, what am I going to do? And I watch my own training. I go for my own notes. Because you cannot see the speck in your own eyes. And that is what is really important about therapy, because you have a qualified person helping you, guiding you, supporting you on your side, not there to judge you, and loving you to the best of their capacity in a positive, healthy way to, help you navigate through life. I mean, what is more important than that in life than someone who's just there championing you every step of the way, making sure and supporting you the best way, but they're fully qualified. They're not there just because they're your friend, just because they're related to you, and everything is confidential because they can't tell anyone. It's confidential. So no one's going to be gossiping about you about nothing because it's confidential. Unless you hurt someone or you're going to hurt someone, then, you know, we're going to have to take it further.
Yes, I totally agree. Safeguarding.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you? Your counseling, I know you're wearing the t-shirt there, whoop, whoop. How can people get in touch if they do want some counseling sessions, some therapy? How can they get in touch?
So they can go to my website, which is floatingcounselling.co.uk. And then just have a look at that website. There's free resources on that page as well. So just click, grab the free resources, and we'll be in contact. You can obviously email us as well at info@floatingcounselling.co.uk. So info@floatingcounselling.co.uk. Or message me on Instagram, floating_body, mind, and soul. But really, truly, just go to our website, floatingcounselling.co.uk.
I will put all of this information in the bio, so you'll be able to see it later on as well. Oh my God, we've come to the end. I'm looking and I'm still waiting for a response. So nobody wants to basically take this home. Nobody wants to have.
I think it's coming to me then.
Sister, we're gonna fight for it. I can't believe that nobody wants to take this. Has anyone who's following us read the book? Because I didn't get an answer earlier when I asked that. What about this Sister Dotun? Forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. Sister Dotun, who asked, what about people without Instagram? I've given now the opportunity for people to answer here on the live session. So if you know the answer, if you have read the book, just let me know. Oh, yes, she has answered. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to put it up. The more the child is hit, the worse the child would think and feel about herself. That is true, but that's one of the answers that Celestina gave. So the two that she gave was that one about how the child would feel. And then the other one was the brain remembers more of that negative action than, the positive. So, it's not really good to do that. So there were others mentioned in the book as well. So I'll give another chance.
Okay. So you want them to say something else apart from the two things that I've said.
And then I wanted them to give us another one from the book. Because otherwise there's no point, because you said the two. So.
I've said those two. I've said them.
You said the two. So we're just waiting for you to give us the answer. Oh, I've got an answer. Okay, hold on. I'm going with the first. I'm sorry if you're coming afterwards. Right. So we've got an answer from Afi, which says corporal discipline doesn't work on children because it can lead to increased aggression and antisocial behavior. I love that answer. What do you think, Celestina?
Yeah, that is definitely, that's one of the answers.
Love that answer. Now, what we're going with that one.
I thought I was going to come up with this.
Oh, you have won yourself a beautiful hamper that's going to be coming your way. So get in touch with me on Instagram. Send me your address. I'll be packing this by tomorrow, and you should be getting it Tuesday, Wednesday. Make sure you take a picture of yourself with it so that people can see I did send it. But so this will be on your way. So my sister,
well done.
Well done to you, my sister Afi. Well done to you. Sorry, the rest of you that didn't get the answer to me quick enough. So that prize has already been won. So just to wrap up, is there any last thought that you want to share with parents in terms of discipline? Like, what's the best thing to do? Maybe share one tip of something that you use that works.
Yeah, one of the best things that I personally use is consequences. I think consequences is absolutely important. It helps build resilience. It helps build, that art of negotiation in their own personal mind, where they're thinking outside the box. They're reasoning with themselves. And another one is definitely communication, because again, once you start having conversation with the children, It's recorded in their long-term memory of what they should not do. And what is recorded is why you discipline them. So conversation, communication is really important. So communication and consequences. An example, I'm not sure if this is the example I gave in the book, but one of the example is if your child spills food, they clean it. Even though it might take them 1 hour, they clean it.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it might mean that you then come back to clean it after, the fact is you let them clean it. They need to understand there's action and consequences for every action. Because if you're running after them and you're cleaning after them and you're doing things for them, they've learnt nothing. So, for example, if they spill food, you're like, don't do that, but then you clean it, what have they learned? They did not remember that it took them an hour to clean their own mess. Trust me. That consequences, they're going to remember that consequences of, do I really want to eat messy and not spill my food everywhere? It's going to take me so long to clean it. Consequences is so important. That is the best discipline ever. Consequences. And if that consequences for an adult, because I know some people might be like, but I've got teenagers, they're not spilling the food, what can I do? Consequences can be, if you've disobeyed me, if you've done something you know you should not have done, then something gets removed. That is a consequences for an action. So there's an action and there's consequences for an action. But you as a parent, you need to make sure that whatever the consequences you're putting in place is not extreme. Because when it becomes extreme, it's no longer consequences, now it's punishment. It's a punishment. We don't want to punish the children. We want them to be disciplined. There's a difference between discipline and punishment. So make sure whatever the consequences is related to what the action has been, undesirable action has been. It's really important. So consequences and communication is the best discipline advice I can give.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. I so agree with that. I want to give the audience an opportunity as well to ask a question. So if you have a question that you want Celestina to answer, please put it in the comment section and I will read it out and give her the opportunity to answer. So thank you so much. I want to, talk about the dedication because you dedicated the book to your father. So is that because of the way that you were brought up with him? I mean, what's the reason for that?
Yeah, I mean, he just disciplined completely different from what a lot of Black people, African people discipline. You would think that he would discipline quite harsh because he was in the army. But no, his way of disciplining was more about him controlling himself and controlling his own emotion and not letting his own feelings impact how he speaks to other people or how he reacts to other people, which is what, therapy really helps you with, and which is what this book also helps you with. Helps you know your own emotion, manage yourself, because it will absolutely impact how you're able to regulate. And children need us as parents to be able to regulate our own emotion. And that is one thing that I definitely learned and adored about him. The fact that he did not hit us. It was always communication. It was always talk. For hours, sometimes he will be talking and preaching and doing sermon for something we did, or him trying to, understand why we did what we did. Because that's another thing I think I mentioned in the book, and I do this with my parent coach as well. If your child knows they're going to have to come back and explain themselves, they're going to think before they do something. So it's not just beating them, because beating them can be 5 minutes and it's over. But if you're having to have conversation, then the frontal lobe is going to be remembering this. It's going to be remembering this conversation, whether consciously or subconsciously, is going to be remembering. And that's what we want for children. We want our children to remember the positive thing that they need to do, not the negative things they've done. And that is something that was amazing about my dad. He was always great at communication.
Oh, what a great dad. We honor you, Dad, for being different. I'm sure a couple of people had comments about the way he was parenting, because you always get the one or two people saying, you shouldn't be doing it like that. So, we commend him for that. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I want to take this opportunity, actually, before we close. I want to read something from the book, but before we close, I want to take this opportunity because the whole purpose of this really, it was to talk about the book. It was to share it so that you know why you need to buy the book. So I want to pray for the book. And I just want to pray that whoever buys the book, in fact, I want to pray that more parents buy this book. And I want to pray that whoever buys the book, this book really blesses them. You've done an amazing job, and it shouldn't stay, in the storehouse. It needs to be out there, and it needs to be read. So I'm just going to take a couple of seconds, and I'm just going to pray for the book. So Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this great opportunity, to come together to talk about this great book called The Art of Disciplining with Love. Father, we pray for this book. We pray for every person that's going to read this book, every person that's going to even if they borrowed it from somebody, but whoever reads this book, we pray that the book will have an impact in their lives, that it will help them to reflect on the way that they parent so that they can do better, because we know that you want us to raise a better society, better people who understand what love is, who understand how to communicate, and that's the way that you want things to be done. So I'm praying, Lord Jesus, that you will grant grace, you will grant favor, you will allow this book to go out and go into different homes, reach different people. Somebody out there might be struggling with the way that they're parenting. I pray that someone tells them about this book so that they can get a copy of it and be able to read it. We bless it. We bless the work that our sister Celestina has done, and I bless her, and I just pray that you give her more wisdom to write more books that will impact us as parents in a better way. We give you all the glory and the honor for this amazing book. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Love that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, sister, for this awesome book that you have written. Once again, everybody get a copy. I'm just wondering if there is any questions. Okay, well, I'll just read out comments that people have been putting. So Angela says, we need to buy the book. So agree with you, Angela. Thank you so much for that comment. Another one, it says, amazing, learning so much, Veronica. Thank you, my sister. God bless you. Another comment, well done, ladies. Thank you. Another one, Celestina, you're amazing. You've given me great insights on how to discipline with love. Look at that, sister. You've blessed somebody tonight. That's what this was about. It was about just creating that opportunity for someone to hear about the book and be blessed by it. Well, you're actually the person who's won.
She's on the one.
You're going to get another copy of the book inside. Fantastic. Okay, so I want to end by just reading something that you wrote in the dedication, which I thought this sums up exactly what, for me anyway, this is what I believe parents should be thinking like when we're parenting. And it's the last paragraph, and it says, as I grow and mature, this is you saying, as I grow and mature and watch children grow and mature, my method of parenting must change because the world around us is ever changing too. As parents, we need to stop raising children for the world we were raised in. That world no longer exists, just as the world we currently live in will also cease to exist. Can you imagine me expecting my daughter in her 30s, 40s, raising her children the way that I raised them? I cannot expect that, because that world will look completely different. I mean, technology is just a perfect example of how things are so different. When my parents were younger, they did not know what a computer was. Now we have computers. If my mom came and told me to parent my child the way she did, how is that even she's not gonna know how to deal with computers, what boundaries I should set. So it wouldn't make sense for you to be doing things the way that your parents did them. You have to learn, what new ways can I do? What new things can I do? How different can I do things based on how we are living today? Because I get that a lot, especially from African dads, listen, I'm African. This is how we did it. This is how we do it. I get that a lot. And I just think that we need to change our mentality. We need to think about, how can I effectively raise my children in this generation? Not in the generation that I grew up in. Not even in the generation that I'm going in. That's their generation. So they will have to think about how they're going to parent their children then. Sister Celestina, thank you so much for this awesome book that you've written. You've really blessed me. And I pray that other people also get blessed when they read this book. Thank you for being a guest tonight. Any last thoughts before we end the session?
No, I'm just so glad with the feedback. And yeah, I mean, I was telling somebody how this even came about. And, you know, I was telling her how, you know, you bought the book and you were like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I've got to do your book, Lord. And you've been planning this and planning this and planning this. And I just want to say thank you for, you know, putting that hamper together, for planning it, for getting the word out, because, you know, you read it and you did not want to keep it a secret. You did not want to keep this knowledge to yourself. You wanted as many parents to be blessed, because like we keep saying, their children impacts our children. So, you know, in one way it's for a selfish reason. In another way it's because we want to live in a better world. And you know what? Wow, that is a selfish good thing to do. And I want to thank you for your selfish good reason for doing this. Because that's exactly why I wrote the book, a selfish reason. Because I want parents to raise better children so they don't impact my children in a negative way, or impact me or my world in a negative way. So I just wanted to take this time to say thank you. We thank God. Everything happens for a reason. And you came across the book and across me for a reason, to be able to bless more people. So all glory goes to God, and thank you.
Exactly. No, thank you. I appreciate the recognition. But yeah, you said it all. There's nothing more to say. I'm very, very grateful that you wrote the book. It's a very good book, and I'm not going to hide that. I'm going to shout about it. If you ate in a good restaurant, they say you're not going to shut up. You're going to tell people about it, right? So why not share a book that you've read that's really good with other people so they can also read it? Lastly, I just want to say, guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because again, the purpose of it is to bless parents with knowledge on parenting, because, you know, you only know what you know. And until you hear how someone else does it, you're just going to keep doing it the way you know. So share this to help another parent so they can do a better job and we can raise a better community. Thank you for being wonderful, wonderful audience, and all your comment really helped to motivate me. One of my goals this year, right, was to build up my confidence and to do these lives. So this is the second one that I've done. I'm super happy. Yes.
Well done.
Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. Have a fantastic evening. We love you. Thank you. Take care. Bye everyone.